Going on, everybody? We got Gem Mint here, joined by the uncanny Omar from Near Mint Condition. What's going on, man?
What is up? How's everybody doing? Thanks for having me on, dude. I know it's been a long time coming.
Yeah, it's been a long time. A couple people last night were asking, like, oh, it's about time you guys did something together. But I told them, like, we've been talking about doing this for a while now.
Yeah. It was just a matter of schedules and other things, But yeah, we finally got together. So hopefully have a good time. Get some involvement from the chat. That'd be really cool. So I hope everybody's having a good Saturday. Well, Saturday night where I am. I'm pretty sure it's like 6 or something where you at, right?
Yeah, actually, hold on. Yeah, 6:01 right now. Let me refresh this real quick because I'm not seeing anything.
There's people in the chat. There's people in the chat.
Yeah, so you know what? This StreamYard thing really was a big reason to make me do it because I really love how this is looking. It's looking professional, man.
I like it.
Before we even get started, man, I feel like I have to say something. You know, I'm out here in El Paso, Texas, and we had this crazy mass shooting today at the mall that we go. Well, it was at the Walmart next to the mall that we always go to, and just prayers to everybody who was affected. It's still not over, so it's kind of like we don't know what's going on yet. So we're safe though. Me and the family, everybody was at home chilling, so we're good.
Good. My brother, he used to work out there, so he has a lot of friends that were affected by this. So it's pretty messed up.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, let's see who we got in the live chat. So we got the Mighty Comics guy saying, hey, guys. We got Revy2K. We got Alton Moore, Brian Cinema. I love highlighting these comments, man. I think it's so cool that you can see their avatar and everything.
Yeah, I like that, too. Because it's funny because on the live chats that I do, some of the avatars, I had no idea what they even were until we started highlighting them. I'm like, oh, shit, that's Batman. That's cool.
Because they blow it up pretty big and all clear. So we got Armando Lopez, Clash of the Titans. So we'll talk about that. I figure we'll talk about comics in general. We'll probably talk about our channels because we have a lot in common, like with what we're into, with the type of channels we have, with our work ethic. I would say as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, man.
Oh, here we go.
Jao Victor. I probably said his name wrong. The best crossover in history.
Thank you.
So, here my boy Gary's in the house. What up to Gary? Actually, I'm using your coaster right now, brother.
That's awesome.
Driven's giving a shout out to El Paso for sure. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's very sad. All right, so we got a lot of people here. Barbara Lopez. Yo, Gem Mint Condition. What's up? So is that what it's called?
Is that what it's called? Is that fusion? Is that a fusion?
Can everybody hear me and Omar straight? Everyone, we're good? All right, what I wanted to do, because I've watched you for a while. I've watched you on Omni Bros, I think is how I first saw you. And then I saw your own channel. And I remember right away thinking, this guy has read everything. Like, what the hell? Like, not only have you read everything, you remember who wrote it, who drew it, who was the editor at the time. I mean, what's going on with that?
I think, well, it all goes back to me being a kid, right? Like, I had English is my second language, and I make that joke a lot on my channel. But it's true.
I would have never thought.
So when you come to this country and you don't speak English and all you got is, this world of comics, that's your second family, you can take these characters as real, right? So that's kind of a way that I learned English too, was reading comic books. Wow. So a lot of these things I just absorbed, and then it was always a part of my life. Like it was really, it always was a part of my life. And, I broke up with comics for a while when I was in high school.
That's what I wanted to ask you, because I did too.
I did. So like my first issue was Uncanny X-Men 168. I still have it. Like it's one of my first appearance of Madeline Pryor. Nobody gives a shit, but it's one of my favorite issues. So I, just like everybody else, I'm sure most people through high school, most dudes, you find other hobbies, cars, women, whatever it is, right? Sure. Whatever you're into. Sports or your job, and then you kind of. So I think for me, Onslaught had come out, and I said, "Well, I think that's a good point. That's a good ending point." Like I never sold my comics. I just said, "It's time for me to stop. I can't keep reading this anymore. It's getting silly." So years later, I got married. I got divorced.
Oh,
and
wow.
a friend of mine was like, "Hey, dude, you need to read comics again, dude. They're really good." I'm like, "I don't know, man. I left that world behind a long time ago." It wasn't really. I mean, back then in my 20s, I'm sure it seemed like it was a long time ago.
Mhm.
So I picked up Grant Morrison's first issue of New X-Men. It was that and JMS's first issue of Amazing Spider-Man, the 36 of Volume 2, and I was like, "Oh, damn, comics are good." So I started reading again little by little, and then Grant Morrison left. Joss Whedon came on board, astonishing, and I was like, I guess comics are always going to be a part of my life again. So that's kind of where I was as far as like absorbing the knowledge.
You have great retention, it seems like, you know?
Yeah, I'm not like that with anniversaries or.
So it's only with things that you're really interested in.
No, I'm just kidding. I love my wife. She knows I remember. But yeah, I think it's some things, right? Like that's how a lot of people have photographic memory when it comes to like school,
right,
or movies, right? Like my co-host, my old co-host Amanda, when she was doing this, like she remembers movie stars and directors and producers. My brain doesn't work like that. When I see a movie, like certain directors, yes, but when it came to comics, I really started liking, as a kid, I'm like, I like this dude's artwork, this Mark Silvestri guy.
Yeah, I was into art first as well, yeah.
Right? And I think that's what draws a lot of people's attention is the artwork, of course, right? Who draws the best Wolverine? Who draws the best Cyclops? Who draws the best Psylocke? Damn, Jim Lee, X-Men 8. X-Men 8.
My man Atlas Wolf got it right. I'm like that with Bone Thugs lyrics. I know every damn Bone Thugs lyrics, but if you try to tell me who was the writer on this arc, I wouldn't be able to tell you.
Right. Everybody has their niche. Everybody has their thing, funny. Right? And it just became like that, for me. Like one of my favorite professors in college was a history teacher, and that's what he could do with real life things. Like, during this year, in China, this was going on, and this was going on in Italy.
I was terrible at that.
See, and I'm like, oh shit, I can one up you. I know what was going on in New Mutants at the same time that Avengers, but it was just silly stuff like that. So
real quick, shout out to Iman and Chad Pfister, two admins from the Facebook group are here. Shout out to them. But what's funny? Omar, I would have never thought in a million years that you had a point where you stopped reading. Because when I watch you, I feel like, damn, this dude's kind of like me, but that he never stopped though. But you did have a point where you stopped to be like a teenager and like other interests. Can I ask, how old are you?
41.
You're 41. Okay, so I'm 35. Yeah. So I stopped reading probably around the end of the Clone Saga. And I remember being young, and it was very difficult to follow Spider-Man because the next issue would take place in Spectacular. Then the next place would take in Web of. And you had to buy 5 Spider-Man titles to follow like a storyline. So I remember giving up, and then I got back into it way later. I think maybe the MCU, like Iron Man movies, got me back interested, and I jumped back into comics around the time of like Wolverine and the X-Men, Rick Remender's Venom, Spider Island, and I started picking up single issues from there, and then I got into Omnibus after that. So that's kind of like the gap I had.
Yeah, I think a lot. Most comic collectors that have been collecting for a long time go through that phase where they either give up. I want to say about the only person I've ever met that hasn't was Jess. I don't think he ever stopped. Wow. Like Jess has been reading comics, since he was a kid. So, thanks, Justin Page.
Here goes Forgerelli. Forgerelli doesn't like too many people, myself included, but he does like you, Omar. So finally, someone that knows something about comics on this channel. I've always told
he gives me shit on my own channel too, but I like.
You're not the smartest person in the room. Or how's that quote go? If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. You gotta bring people on that know more than you. And shout out to Justin Page with the $5 super chat contribution for Omar's credit card statement after his recent anime haul. I saw that, man. You can't get drunk in eBay, bro. Like what are we doing?
Oh, dude. It's better than hookers and blow,
That's
at
true,
least
right?
At least I can talk myself out of that one.
J Rocks is in the house. We have Q8. How do you say it? Vanilla. Both my favorite comic review personalities in one stream must be dreaming. Yeah, you know what? So one of the big reasons I'm going to say something. I don't know if you feel the same way or not, but we have similar content, right? So sometimes it could feel like, damn, is there competition? But I realized, I'm like, man, it's the same people watching both of us. I'm like, what better thing would it be than to have both of us on the same time? You know what I'm saying?
No, I don't see anything wrong with competition. And honestly, I have lately, because I've been doing so many videos, I have a hard time to see who's putting out what kind of video. Because when I first started, I'm sure you did the same thing too. I was like, man, I really don't want to do another video like doing what somebody else is talking
Right.
about. Like everybody and their mother's already talking about this movie. I really don't want to go and review a movie. But then you build up so many people, so many subscribers, and they really want to know what your opinion is about a certain comic book or a certain. Because like when I first started the channel, I told Dan and my co-host, I'm like, I used to do manga reviews for a magazine back in the day, like 15 years ago, print. I don't know if y'all remember magazines, but. And I told Dan, I'm like, I'm done. And we used to review toys. Him and I used to review toys for an anime magazine. And I was like, I can't review toys anymore. I don't want to do any more reviews because I feel like it just becomes like there's only so many things I can say about somebody's art, so many things I can say about a toy. But then like slowly I kind of missed it. I'm like, oh, I do miss talking about some of the detailed things. But so when I first started, I'm like, I really don't want to review the things that other people are reviewing. So if I saw somebody had like an overview of one of the hardcovers, I'm like, I don't need to do mine. And then somebody in my channel, one of my subscribers said, oh man, but I want to hear your take on it because it's an X-Men book. So I'm like, all right, fuck it, I'll do it. But that's kind of actually some of my biggest videos were because some of my subscribers asked me to do something like,
for sure.
Remember like Battle Angel Alita, they were like, they asked me if I would do an overview of the hardcover, the very first one. And I said, I don't mind, but man, the book's been out for like a couple of weeks. I'm sure somebody has had that.
There must be a ton of reviews or whatever.
Right. And he was like, no, there's nobody out there. I'm like, well, yeah, I'll do it. It's one of my favorite manga from like 20 years ago. But most of my ideas do come from people's suggestions because I do listen to a lot of people. Well, most of the people's suggestions. Yes. Other times they're like, oh man, you're gonna review this, you're gonna review that. I'm like, yeah. If I had some more money, of course I'd review it. But
so like Vintage X Collectibles is saying that I consider doing movie reviews on my channel, but I saw so many others were doing the same, so I was like, never mind. But see, that's not the right mentality because you're going to grow an audience of people that want to know what you think about it. Forget what all those other people think. A lot of times there's a movie review like Dark Phoenix that all these big movie reviewers bashed it. But when we came out the theater, we were like, hey, that was pretty good. We were like pleasantly
crazy,
surprised.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
You're crazy. You like Dark Phoenix? I should have reviewed that with you.
Liked it. Maybe the expectations were really low. I thought it was going to be trash, and I came out like, yo, that was pretty good.
Okay. Did you like Hellboy?
We liked Hellboy on the way out too, but
goddamn, I gotta start doing movie reviews with you.
I think it's just the expectations, man. I didn't expect anything from Hellboy. You can't tell me the Baba Yaga stuff wasn't crazy dope, or like
I think there were things that were there were things that were pretty good about it, but then most of the movie I was like, this is the longest movie I've seen, and I don't know, I just wanted to get out. But
let's real quick. We got a $2 super chat from Driven from Desperation. He's asking what omnibus is the best to buy. Gem, but Gem and Omar. He doesn't have an omnibus, so this is a very broad question, right? I think that you got to think of what's your favorite character, and once you've narrowed that down, there's going to be only a certain amount of options, and then you're going to go with what type of era of comics do you read? Do you like Silver Age? Do you like 90s stuff? Do you like modern stuff? And kind of go from there.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, to me, I'm an X-Men guy, so I always say you get Uncanny Omnibus Volume 1 right now while it's still in print. This is the 4th printing. If it goes out of print, it's going to be out of print for a long time before it comes back again.
Which one was that?
Uncanny. The first Chris Claremont, Dave Cockrum, John Byrne. But I mean, that's most of my go-to. That's what I recommend. But really, it depends on what you like. I would also JMS's Amazing Spider-Man. I think is a good introduction to that character.
I didn't think so. I didn't like it. Real quick, Barbara, Omar's channel is near mint condition. That's why it's right
here. This one here.
I figured if we have the same last name, we must be like cousins or something. So.
I don't think so.
through marriage, I don't know. But here you go. You guys are both minty. So that's what I was going to ask you. So you started reading comics. Your first comic was X-Men. It was Madeline Pryor's first appearance. So ever since then, that's kind of been your go-to. You're an X-Men guy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of these characters reflect a lot on you. Like I every kid that goes through whatever it is, you're tall, you're fat, you're skinny, you're you're a different race, you don't look like everybody. Whatever, you can relate to mutants.
Mhm.
Every kid.
Right.
Every kids are assholes when when you're younger and they get picked on. So
Kids
you relate a
brutal.
lot to these characters, right? You're like, okay, I'm not alone. There's characters, there's people, there's characters like me. So yeah, mutants for sure, man.
You
I
ever
love
watch John Mulaney?
Yeah. John
So
Mulaney, he did the voice of Spider-Ham on the.
He did, and he did stand up, but he's got a joke on one of his stand ups that like kids will make fun of you about the thing that you're most sensitive about.
Absolutely. Well, it's true, right?
Yeah.
Freckles. I remember my friend Kristen. She had freckles, and kids would make fun of her like freckles on her face. I'm like,
that's what she hated the most.
Man, she can't help that. Like that's fucked up.
Shout out to K Hall, $10 super chat. He says top 2 channels. Thanks for the great content. Are we gonna have to split up this money after the show? How's that gonna work?
It's your channel, man. It's your baby. I'm good.
Just messing with you. All right. So what else? I wanted to ask you. So okay, the channel, right? So I see you have mastered the technique of dropping mad videos. So like you got to keep a stash on deck, right? I mean, I know that you probably have to go in there, you knock out a few videos.
Yeah. I usually it depends on work, like how much workload I got. If I have a busy work week, I go ahead and not try to film videos on Monday afternoon or Sunday afternoon that aren't topical, right? Unless something breaks out or unless
something that you could kind of have in the stash, and then sometimes new things come out that are more time sensitive.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So I don't mind like I've got 3 or 4, and then like one of my co-hosts is like, "Hey, I want to have an anime video." I'm like, "Yeah, go ahead. I can postpone my video for another day or whatever." Because I also don't want to oversaturate the channel either with a lot of things, and that happens to a lot of big channels. And then I'm not we ain't that big, but it's just I don't want it to see that happen either.
But yeah, I agree, because I would have Manimal would do like his weekly stuff, or he'll read a book, and like it'll just help kind of pad the week for me a little bit as well. But lately I've been dropping more though. I don't know, and I've seen a lot of growth from that actually. And YouTube has a lot of good analytics now. It said you had more subscribers this month than last month. The biggest reason is because you released more videos that attracted more new people. Because I did San Diego. What's that?
I believe that.
No, I mean, that's what it said. I mean, I know it's just an analytics tool, but I was like, damn. So like this whole week, I've been dropping videos that I have that are really old. Like, like I lost 15 pounds since that video. Like I got to fucking drop this shit already. You know what I mean? Like,
right. No, you're right. Sometimes it gets outdated, right? Like I remember we did, like when we first started the channel, we did like a Batman, Superman review, but it wasn't edited for like 3 weeks. And then we were like, scrap it. Nobody cares anymore. It's an old review. So that's what happened. So
shout out to the collector with the $2 super chat. He just wants to let us know he's making it rain. Symbiote Massacre says, I remember Gem was doing live streams in the same cave Bin Laden did his. Now he upped the production to that of Channel 7 News Team. This is the Action News Team. What is it from Anchorman? Omar's got a ton of cousins from his video the other day. What was that?
Hey man, I got a big familia. That's how Latinos are. Oh no, we did a giveaway of the House of X and Powers of X variant covers.
I caught that.
And everybody, everybody that I was winning, they were like, "Oh, that dude's related to Omar." Like shit, I ain't got that many cousins.
A lot of Hispanic last names, or what?
Yeah, I guess so.
First, congratulations on your connect with Marvel, man.
Thank you.
Super jealous, but I tried to be positive. But I'm like, damn, I was like, how the did this guy get that? And I watched one of your videos, and you happened to mention it, and it really made me think. And you could correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you said you happened to do a free comic day book video with you and your family.
Yeah,
and it happened to be seen by somebody who showed. I think Gabriel is the guy that from Marvel, right?
David. Yeah.
So I started to think like every video matters. Like, what if you decided not to make that video that day?
That wasn't even my idea. That was my little girl, because it was one of those days that I was like, I was taking the family out for free comic book day, and my youngest, Alicia, she was like, "Are you gonna do a video, Poppy?" And I'm like, "Nah, let's just have fun." We did a video last year. We're fine.
I'll say that too. I'm not really feeling the vibe right now. I'm not trying to be recording all up in here.
Then it feels like a video blog. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. But then she was like, I want to be in the video. And I'm like, okay, we'll make a video real quick. And we did. Yeah. And then I think
that's kind of like you wasn't even your idea. It was your daughter. Like, that's just
absolutely
kind of divine intervention type of thing, man.
Yeah, so that was really nice, and it caught his attention, and he got a hold of me. And me, I'm the type of personality that I am. I don't believe anything until it's real, right? So I'm pessimistic because I'm like, all right, well, somebody's obviously messing with me. Like I'm like, but let's hear him out. And then I didn't even believe when we started emailing, and he said, "Why don't you give me a call?" And I called him, and on the phone, I'm like, let me. He knows this now. I was like, I'm gonna test this dude's knowledge. Let me see for a second. So we started talking about the origin of the omnibuses, how that came about, the origin of the Epic collection, and how that came about. And he started dropping names. He started dropping Corey's name. He started dropping Jeff York's name, and I'm like, oh shit!
Getting more and more credible.
Huh? Wait a minute. This dude did a lot of research if he's messing with me, and. Until I got the very first box, I was telling like my wife, I'm like, this ain't, somebody's messing with me real hard.
That's awesome. I was going somewhere with that, but I can't remember where I was going with it.
You said congratulations on that, because I was talking about the House of X and Powers of X giveaway that we did.
What was I going to say about that? Damn, I lost it. All right, maybe it'll come back.
Sure.
No, but that's super dope. And another thing I wanted to ask you, so the channel, the Near Mint Condition, it's you, and you have like supporting cast that help. They contribute videos, and it seems like you guys are all local. Everybody comes over and chills.
Yeah. We're all. I grew up. I've known Dan. He's one of my co-hosts. He's the lawyer, and Rob. I've known them since. Let's see, Dan since like high school, and Rob since I was in high school. Rob's the video game. Rob's the video game guy. Like seriously, he's now he works. Now he actually. What's that?
They all have their niche. Like you got the video game guy, the anime manga guy, right? And
Tina and Maddie do the cosplay and anime and manga, and Dan is the toy Transformers guy. And I dabble in everything, because that's just the way my collector mentality is. But mainly it's the comic books. And then I've known Andrew, the guy that edits the main panel videos. I've known him since the 3rd grade. Since I came to this country, he didn't even speak English.
Dang, that's awesome, man. So I moved away from my hometown 2 years ago. When I bought this house is when I started the channel. Like I would love to have done this with my friends that I grew up with, but they never really got back into it. Like we were all elementary school kids trading Marvel Masterpiece trading cards together and stuff like that, playing Pogs and going to arcades. So, I mean, we probably would talk a lot about that kind of stuff, but that's cool that you're able to still share that with your friends that you grew up with, man.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, but again, it's also a lot of work sometimes too. When not everybody wants to make a video, not everybody can meet at the same time. Everybody got family, everybody's got commitments. Work sometimes takes you out. That was a lot of my problem. When we first started the channel, I was traveling left and right. I remember doing Omni Bros, from hotel rooms.
I remember watching that. Yeah,
like I was in hotel rooms, different states, even different countries.
Did you have was that a job change and you don't do that anymore?
Yeah. Well, my job, what happened was, my job got transferred, got moved to another state. So I was like, I'm not leaving. So I lost my job for a couple months.
I remember watching that. That's scary, man.
It is. It's something I hope nobody goes through, but you bounce back. You don't give up, and you find something, and then this position, while not the grandest, it gives me a lot of time to either work from home. I don't have to travel as much. I'm here with my family, so in the end, it all works out.
I had a job scare recently too, and I just was thinking like, man, can I do this on my own with just my like side hustles? And I live in the city; it's got the lowest cost of living in the country. So I'm like, damn, it was very scary though. But luckily, I didn't have to go that route. And let me give this Justin Page a shout out real quick. I've been holding his super chat for a minute for $2. He says he's making it rain as well. And guys, we don't have any subjects or topics. I don't want this to feel like an interview. So please ask us whatever you want to know. You got a wealth of knowledge with Omar here, and I know a couple things. So
don't sell yourself short.
No, I'm just playing. That's a lot of people are saying like the same thing. Best feature in comics, YouTube. Yeah, man, we're gonna have to do this some more times, or maybe I'll jump on yours one time, or
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that sounds good.
Oh, look at this. For Jarelli, Omar has helped add more to my library than any other person outside of IST and CGN.
Oh, thanks, Jake.
Oh, that's the other thing I wanted to say. You guys are also good as hell at getting sponsorships, man. I'm like, holy shit, this guy's got the cheap graphic novels. They got the IST. I'm like, damn, but I just keep.
IST. When I used to have a website many years ago in a podcast, so I've dabbled over the years in the in this kind of thing, and they used to sponsor my podcast. So I've built a relationship with Cameron, and then when Emily came on board, and then and I stopped doing that for a while because we had kids and wanted to raise them. Got a job that traveled, so when I joined Omni Bros, I started talking to Cameron again, and he's like, yeah, hit us up. We'll talk again. So then with then Cheap Graphic Novels, Max approached me, and that was a really good conversation. We talked, and I'm like, okay, let's do it this way, because we've had. I don't mind if it's like, I don't know if this has happened to you. I don't mind if it's a comic book related sponsor. Like, that's cool. Of course, I'd love to work with people like that. But it's when I get weird, like, hey, this is what the hell was it's like some kind of tea club or something.
Yeah.
And they wanted to sponsor us, like, and they were offering money per episode.
Yeah. And that doesn't make sense.
No, I'm not gonna. I can't stop mid.
That you guys have are the most organic you could possibly get. I mean, it doesn't get better than that.
They actually have something to do with the stuff we buy. Like, if I stop in mid sentence talking about Uncanny X-Men Volume 4 Omnibus, whenever that gets released, keep on hoping. But I can't be like, now wait a second, I got to tell you about this delicious tea I had the other day. There's not a transition to that, so I was like, nah. But anyway, it worked out really good. So we got a good relationship with Maximum.
I've never used cheap graphic novels. I don't think I've ever had to.
Well, they're under new ownership, right? Like, so it's a new owner. When I used to use them too, because sometimes they would get things faster to me than IST. Sometimes things were cheaper and stuff like that. So, it's like, it can't be all. You got to have competition, right? It makes everybody better.
For sure. So we got Bertram Moore saying, love Omar's review also. Iman is saying that she loves your background.
Oh, thank you.
J-Rock's asking, any movies that you guys are excited for this year? I mean, the only thing that's really coming out this year is what, Joker?
Comic book related movies. Yeah, we got Joker coming out. We got Star Wars coming out later on. But I'm actually really excited about Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Comes out next week. I love that book when I was a kid, and my oldest daughter is ready, so we're gonna go see it. Guillermo del Toro, it's got some good people behind it, so I'm excited.
When's that Bill and Ted 3 coming out?
Oh, that just started.
Just started filming, right?
Filming, right? So probably sometime next year.
We got how do I pronounce this? Chandosic. Omar has made me an impulsive buyer.
I love that guy. Yeah.
How do you feel about the videos that you make people spend money?
So, it's one of those things, like, the videos that I do, like, I'm not lying. The first time I did a tour video, it wasn't to get hits. It wasn't to get people to watch my channel, to subscribe, but it blew up, right? But the reason I did it was because I'm getting older, and there's a lot of things I can't remember that I have. So when I would travel and go out somewhere, I just, like, my wife can vouch. We were in Canada, and and I was like, I know I ain't got that damn Gantz volume. Which one am I missing? So I look at my own channel just to look through my video to see what I was missing. So it became like a visual library of what I had. But I always tell people, buy what you like. Doesn't matter. Like, it's all subjective, right? What I enjoy, somebody else could be like, man, this sucks. Or what I think, is not good. Somebody be like, man, what's wrong with that guy? This thing is genius. Yeah. So, I definitely have strong suggestions to people that I'm like, oh, I think everybody would enjoy this book, or I think everybody would enjoy this art, or this omnibus that's coming back into print. Y'all need to get it because it's wonderful.
Uncanny X-Force, Astonishing X-Men.
Oh, yeah. Wolverine's special to me because that's the one that I was pushing David to do. And he's like, yeah, it didn't sell that well, though. And I'm like, yeah, man, but that was 10 years ago, dude. It's a different market.
Between our channels, it'll sell out
like
real quick.
So I told him, I'm like, I got a lot riding on it. I got to prove Marvel right, and I want a Wolverine Omnibus too.
And he's probably even more hesitant about a volume 2 than just continuing that patch run, no?
Yeah, and it wouldn't. The way that I would map it, it wouldn't even hit into the good stuff. The good thing that everybody wants is that Larry Hama and Mark Silvestri run. Those are classic, right? That lead up into the Return of Weapon X all the way to issue 50. But that wouldn't happen until volume 3. I mean, volume 2 could probably take us there, depending on.
You're telling me stuff like Silver Age Adam Strange is going to sell better than a Wolverine volume 2? Like,
it's crazy. Like, I didn't know. Well, I don't know, man.
I know I'm talking DC tomorrow.
DC, right? Like, DC seems to think that, and there's nothing wrong with it, but it's just the way that they don't take a gamble on things like. I did my most wanted omnibuses from DC, like top 30, and this is just dream omnibuses, right?
Yeah.
But they just keep and I appreciate it. They want to go ahead and release all the Golden Age stuff, then the Silver Age stuff, but I'm like, how in the world can they think that stuff will outsell a post-Crisis on Infinite Earths Batman or Superman, John Byrne Superman, going from Man of Steel all the way to Death and Return of Superman, going from the Batman Year One all the way to Nightfall, which they've already. I mean, somebody has had to map that stuff out. So.
What about, like, do you think Superman in the Exile, was that a smart omnibus choice?
That was an odd omnibus choice because that really threw the mapping out. Like, why would you release that? That's not even. It doesn't even line up with the Death and Return of Superman, even the new one, right?
When your omnibus says "and other stories," you're just giving up at this point and just this is the story and some other shit. Like, what is that?
So you know how Marvel is reprinting like Wolverine Volume 1, right?
Right.
And Uncanny X-Force and Astonishing X-Men. That means the mapping from the beginning was thought about, and all they got to do is take it to the printers and print it again. DC, when they're doing The Flash by Jeff Johns, they're literally starting over from scratch. Same thing with Teen Titans, because they know they messed up that 3rd volume of Teen Titans.
Seems like DC stays messing up, like, continuity all around, man.
Yeah, they've had a rehaul recently in their collected editions.
I remember they canceled a bunch of stuff, right?
Yeah, and a lot of people sadly lost their jobs. So I don't know if they got new blood in there, but I guess we'll see what happens in the future. I like for them to get, like I said, competition makes everybody good. So I like for them to get started. They got Marvel kicked off the omnibus stuff, then DC started doing it. So I would figure by now they would get a hold of this, like, okay, we need to start releasing these like Marvel, have a volume 1, 2.
Marvel gave them the blueprint. They laid it out for them to play it out. So let's just follow suit. And
pretty much.
What do you think about omnibus like the Hellblazer by Ennis and not going chronological?
It breaks my heart, but I mean, what do I do, right? I mean, yes. Garth Ennis's run is probably the best run on Hellblazer.
It's kind of like what you said about Wolverine. It wouldn't get good until a volume 3. So it seems like they're just trying to say, all right, let's just put out the best material first.
Yeah. So when you do that, though, you're already not mapping out the rest of the stuff around it, because the way that stuff runs, there were issues that were skipped. There was about a year that skipped. So yeah, it kind of breaks my heart because I like it all from the beginning. I'm a completist, right? So I like things 1, 2, 3 on my shelf. I know this is red after this. So
you probably see a lot of like newer omnibus collectors. They always ask, like, why doesn't it not just go volume 1 to volume 10? And why does it go Spider-Man's got volume 1 through 4, then it goes Spider-Man by McFarlane or Spider-Man by Roger Stern and all that kind of stuff,
I always tell this story that, like, I think it was 2003. No, I'm sorry, 2006. When the very first Amazing Spider-Man came out, I was like, the very first omnibus, I'm like, okay, in 10 years, that means by 2016, we'll have all the way up to Venom. I can wait. That's cool. That's what I thought, right? Because we didn't know the way that Omnis were going to be released. And we just now got a volume 4, and it is now 2019. So let's just keep that in mind.
But we got the Venom stuff anyway, though, a couple of times.
Exactly, because they did it out of order, and that makes, from a marketing standpoint, I guess that makes sense, right? It's like you got to get your hot characters out there when it's Deadpool introduced. Like if they ever do a New Mutants omnibus, everybody's like New Mutants, New Mutants, New Mutants, everybody's going to be disappointed when the first New Mutants omnibus is the Rob Liefeld stuff.
Yeah.
Not everybody, I'm sorry. The completists are going to be disappointed. They're not going to do a volume 1. I guarantee they're going to go from Louise Simonson's the end of her run when Rob Liefeld and then Fabian Nicieza to the making of X-Force. So that's how they're going to map that out.
Marvel didn't map everything out good because speaking of X-Force, their X-Force mapping was crazy, man. And the titles are all like all over the place.
Oh, well, no. I mean, everything is there.
Well, I guess it's just mapped good. It's just the titles.
It's just through different books, right? And I'm okay with that because in the book market, everybody knows that a volume 5 does not sell as well as a volume 1.
That makes sense. You got to kind of it's kind of like a YouTube catchy title. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to clickbait
that shit. That's right, son. That's right. So
I want to ask you one thing before I forget, and then I'm going to jump into vintage collection. So, how do you feel about DC letting go of their Vertigo title and kind of like seems like they're replacing it with their Black Label?
End of an era, man. Like that's crazy. Some of the best independent stories I read, like Vertigo was indie before I even knew what that term was. Right. Like I wasn't into Crumb comics. I wasn't into Cerebus and stuff like that. And through Vertigo, it was my gateway into like these creator-owned series to an extent. So I'm honestly surprised it lasted so long because Karen, they let her go 2 years ago. She's over at Dark Horse now, and that was her baby. So the fact that they lasted this long without her, I guess, was okay. I just hope the imprint on these books doesn't go from Vertigo to Black Label, especially when you have a volume 1 and 2, and then when you get to a volume 3 or a reprint of one of those Absolute Sandmans, you're like, oh damn it, they took the Vertigo stamp off and put a Black Label on it.
With Vertigo, though, it's more like, they had their own characters. It was more indie, like you said, but DC Black Label is still just Batman and stuff like that,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right, let me get caught up. I'm getting way behind on the chat, but real quick, Vintage X Collectibles has a good question. What inspired you to start a YouTube channel based on comics? And he's asking both of us, but I'll
you go ahead first.
I kind of told this last night, but the fast version is I would watch Omni Bros Live. I would wait for Riley to drop a video, but Riley's a great person, but he's very inconsistent with dropping videos, right? And I would watch Cartel from Hell, who would do statue reviews, and I would have a long commute, and I was collecting and new into getting statues in omnibus, and I was like, damn, I want to do what they're doing, but I want to combine it into one. I want to make a channel that has omnibus and statues. So that's what kind of inspired me. And I felt like it would give me more of a reason to read the books I'm buying more accessibly than I should be. You know what I mean? Like, let me buy it, let me drop a review on it, and just kind of lit a fire under my ass. How about you?
Yeah. I grew up, I worked at a comic book store. I was one of those kids that grew up in a comic book store, and the comic book store around this area closed, and it became like a card shop, right? And I'm not into playing cards, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, if you're into playing cards, more power to you. But it was a different environment. There's no sitting there around talking about a bunch of geek stuff. Just wasn't the same, and I missed that. And it got to the age, my girls were older. We didn't need to constantly watch them, making sure they're not trying to kill themselves, because that's all kids try to do when they're little. You're just trying to stop them from trying to do that. But, so I got together with my friends where, like, Dan and I used to have a podcast. I'm like, hey, I'm thinking maybe we should do something with YouTube, like bring back the podcast or something. So we thought about it. We sat on it for about a year. And then about a year later, I talked to my buddy Rob, who has a phenomenal personality, a lot more charming and funnier than I am. I don't know why he hasn't blown up. And
who is that?
My buddy Rob. He's the video game dude. He's crazy. And actually, he works in the video game industry now. So
I've seen him. I think he did the E3 coverage and stuff.
Yeah. He's a cool dude, man.
Yeah.
He works at a gun studio now. They're the guys that did the Friday the 13th video game and stuff like that. But and then I got together with Tina, and I'm like, we need a younger person, because we're so out of touch with like what's going on. With anime and manga, especially, I really didn't know, and I still don't. But and that's kind of how that got started. And then we started doing a panel show, and then I wanted to branch out and do my own thing, because I was just sitting on all this stuff that I had, and I'm like, I kind of want to do another. I did my first overview of it was my Peanuts collection, like the Charles Schultz Peanuts collection, and I got some views, and I'm like, well, I got some questions from that, and I'm like, maybe I should showcase, because for the longest time in the Omnibus, the Omnibus Collectors group. Shout out to the Omnibus Collectors group on Facebook. They, they kept asking me and Peter M. Shout out to Peter too. Crushing Crisis. I love that dude. He's the one that actually got me on the Facebook group.
I saw him recently on their channel.
Yeah, he did a review of Powers of X and House of X. Dude he's a mad X-Men guy. You all think I'm bad. He is detailed X-Men. But people kept asking me about like the mapping of X-Men and where it fits in, like, because I would throw pictures out there and I'm like, this is how I set up.
I used to save those pictures as a checklist on what books I needed to buy.
That's right. That's one of our first chats was you were like, hey man, I just copied that to my phone just to see what books I need to buy.
That was a long time ago then.
It was a couple years ago. So I was like, well, maybe I should just drop like that knowledge, because when I first started collecting these things, that's what I was wanting. I wanted a visual guide of like, Batman, all these things in trade paperback, because there is no 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's Batman, like year 1, Batman year 2, Last Laugh, Joker's Last Laugh. But when the hell do I read this? Nobody. So that's why I started doing that.
A big shout out to that Omnibus Collectors group. I forget the whole title. It's got a comic swap somewhere at the end of it or something. But the Omnibus Collectors group is what I found after finding everyone on YouTube. And I learned pretty much everything I know from lurking in that group and then participating in that group. It's a great resource there. So somebody's got a good question, and it kind of ties into what I wanted to ask you that I forgot about. So you guys recently read House of X, Powers of 10. Do you still read weekly up-to-date stories, or was that like a one-time thing kind of where you jumped into something current?
It really depends on the title, and
you don't have a big long pull list, but if a new thing comes out, you might check it out.
I stopped and read Donny Cates' Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
Like that, because I was a big fan of his Thanos run, so I wanted to see more. I did the
same thing with Thanos. That was the first comics I read in single issues in years was Donny Cates' Thanos. So because the question I have on the screen now from Zion Cole is, what's the top 3 writers right now? And right now gets hard for me because most of the stuff that I read is collected editions that are older. So I don't know if you... It
gets a little bit confusing when you're reading stuff from like people that have been dead for a long time, and there's nothing wrong with that. But
so I think Donny Cates right now, like, I really enjoy Donny Cates' writing, and I'm starting to see posts in our group like, oh, this guy's overrated. You hear those kind of terms when you hear someone's name a lot, but I genuinely enjoy what I've read that he wrote. Like, I think his stuff is very accessible. It's not like Grant Morrison for me. It goes over my head sometimes. Even Hickman can be a little bit like that, right?
Oh, but absolutely.
Donny Cates has a very down-to-earth, like grounded kind of writing style that I really enjoy.
Yeah, I think sometimes Jonathan Hickman and guys like Grant Morrison, Alan Moore, they can be a little more pretentious, right? So it's it gets to be a little much.
Yeah.
But as far as writers these days, good Lord, I'm trying to think. Other Donny Cates, but Jonathan Hickman, of course, has been killing it on X-Men, and I've been a big fan. But I'm trying to think of independent titles that I read recently. I really like Skyward, and I cannot think of who wrote that. That was a phenomenal.
A lot of was it Jeff Lemire, Colin Bunn, these type of guys?
Yeah, Colin Bunn kills it on, like, I was never a big Colin Bunn guy on X-Men or his Magneto. His Magneto run was probably the best thing he wrote for Marvel.
Right.
But like his Venom and X-Men, they were okay. But his independent like horror stuff, like I love Harrow County. He did Witch Hammer. Yeah, he's got all these little independent horror things. So let me find. I want to give justice to who it was that.
Real quick, so Carlito's Way 227. I think he asked a couple times. He's really trying to understand what an omnibus is, and I guess the best explanation is it's a book that collects an entire run by either a creative team or an entire event, right? So it can either be, for lack of a better event, Atlantis Attacks, the entire Atlantis Attacks collected in one edition, or it could be like the entire Garth Ennis run on Hellblazer. And sometimes those runs are too long to fit into one book, so there's volumes. So that's a term. I don't know what the exact Webster's dictionary term is, but it's a real term.
Well, it's funny, when I first started looking it up in 2000, like when I first started getting huge into them, like 2005, 2006, the only omnibus I know, and anybody speaks Spanish, is a damn bus.
Yeah.
That's what we call the omnibus.
Or if you hashtag omnibus on Instagram, it's all big ass buses. I was like, what the hell?
Pretty much, yeah. So it just it became a big project for Marvel, someone that started getting it out there. And the very first one they did, it was the Ultimate Spider-Man. It was a Barnes and Noble Ultimate Spider-Man. Pretty much
the first one, right?
Yeah, they glued the hardcovers 1, 2, and 3. Pretty much glued it together and made it into one hardcover, and it was only sold at Barnes and Noble. So that's kind of what it is. And then it kind of blew up from there. We had Fantastic Four and Uncanny X-Men, New X-Men, and that's all she wrote. And then they used to do like 4, 6 a year, and now, holy shit, they're doing 5 a month. It seems like in 2020 is the big reprint year, so very excited for that.
So a lot of people have asking me, and they asked you, I guess they're asking us, but they asked me in other videos too, what omnibus am I most anticipating this year? And I'm like, bro, it's not really my year. This is the year for the people who missed out on a lot of these whales that are now getting reprinted.
Yeah. So one of the things that I keep getting asked is like, do these reprints get in the way of new books?
Ooh.
And to an extent, yes. And I'll tell you why. Like I talked to David last week, and they've got a book right now because I was curious about one particular book. It's a volume 2 of a series, and I'm like, when is it gonna drop? Because it's been a while since volume 1, and you guys have had it mapped out, and can't leave us hanging because they don't like leaving people hanging.
Yeah.
So he said, well, what happens is, we push that project back. He goes, oh, a movie comes out. Like, let's say Black Widow. We'll use Black Widow for example.
They do follow those kind of the movies, right?
Sometimes, if they think it's going to sell, right? Like, I asked why Black Panther didn't get an omnibus, and, probably they didn't know back then how well the movie was going to do. And like I said,
predicted that. And his single runs never really last. They always get canceled.
Right. Well, Hudlin and Priest had really good long runs on the series. They could have done one of those.
Oh, but hold on. Ford, you're wrong. I know who Cerebus is because he was in issue 10 of Spawn.
Spawn. I knew you were going to mention that.
And real quick, the collector want to know how many we got watching. I'm showing like it was just 250, 242 right now in the chat.
Oh, okay. It must be 200 minties then, about 50 Geminites. Is that about right?
That's about right. You know it is right, because we would normally probably have about $150, so I think you're bringing about 100 of your own over here, brother.
Oh, okay. Well,
I cut you off before. Sorry, what were you saying?
No, it's cool. So that's what happens. Like a lot of the time, these things get pushed back, right? So it kind of sucks that they get pushed back, and then eventually it's like, oh well, we waited too long. Volume 1's out of print. What are we going to do? It didn't sell that well, but people still want a volume 2. Who's going to buy it? So it's just these things. It's all marketing for a while. So,
well, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, I always assumed that's what they did, but then without having a Black Panther Omni, I was always kind of like dumbfounded by that. But that does make sense because they would have had to plan that out way before the movie, and nobody could have predicted that it would have done $1 billion. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's why my theory with this Annihilation reprint is there's got to be a reason why they're reprinting this book. They're reprinting Astonishing X-Men. We're getting X-Men in the MCU, right? They're reprinting Wolverine. We're getting, it could be Omar influence, but realistically, that's also going to happen in the movies as well. Why else would they reprint this kind of story?
I do have a funny story about that. So I was like you, right?
Yeah.
That's one of the things that made David laugh when he was watching my videos. That's what happened. So he watched my what's it called? My comic free comic book day video. Right. And he thought I was a video blogger. So he's like, oh, you and your family really sweet. Looked, and then he started watching my videos, and he's like, oh, wait a minute, this guy actually knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, that's your only video that's like a blog. That's so funny.
Right. Well, I was like, when he said that on the phone, I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. I hope he didn't watch any of those videos where I'm pointing at the camera and telling Marvel to get their shit together. And he's like, And there's a video that you were like yelling, and you're like, "Come on, Marvel, what the hell's wrong with you?" And he's like, "And you're literally talking to me because I'm the guy that runs that department."
That's crazy.
And I was like, "Oh, man, I thought he was calling me to tell me to pull those videos down." Wow. I remember that thought.
Nah, like, but that's good. That's good. You know, I'm sure they look at it like, damn, maybe we need to get our shit together. You know what I mean?
Well, and I asked him. So the first conversation was like, okay, why is this being reprinted? Why is this getting an omnibus? Right. And he's like, "What? I know you know about movies." Because he told me the story about how the whole Civil War box set got started. It was because Kevin Feige said, "Hey, you guys should really do a box set. Like, I want a Civil War box set. That'd be kind of cool." So that's why we never got a Civil War omnibus, was because Kevin Feige, the guy that runs Marvel Cinematic Universe, was like, "I want this box set." So they made him a box set, and it sold really well. And now that we get box sets, well, I asked him, I'm like, okay, you know, why is there certain collections that come out? It makes no sense. Because I remember there was one, it was Man-Wolf, right? I'm like, Man-Wolf is getting a collection. That means he's got to appear in Amazing Spider-Man movie as a cameo. Something's going on. What do you know, Marvel? It was one of my videos. And then he called me to respond. He's like, "Oh, no, dude, I was just looking at a stack of Man-Wolf comics. And I was like, man, those need to be collected. We don't have a collection of Man-Wolf." And that's the secret. That was it. It wasn't like no big, like, Hollywood didn't call him saying, "We need a Man-Wolf collection now." It was just more like, oh, okay.
But that was an epic collection for an omnibus. And I don't know, there's a lot of whales that sell for like a lot of money in the aftermarket that they probably still haven't reprinted, right? Like, I'm trying to think of, man, they reprinted so many big whales. Okay, Silver Surfer Volume 1, which is probably on their to-do list, especially with this Fantastic Four MCU stuff happening. And I know that you know stuff that you can't say. So
well, they got okay. So I gave them my master list because I made a video, and I gave them my master list of these books are out of print, and I highlighted specific ones. I'm like, these books really wanted badly.
Yeah.
So they know which books are really wanted, like bad, that need to be reprinted. It's just a matter of like when when they can do it, but. Rest assured that those are coming. At least from Marvel, are getting reprints. As far as like Boom Studios, when people ask me about Power Rangers, or Dynamite for that reason, when they ask about the Boys Definitive Edition and stuff like that, I don't know. Like,
what about McFarlane with the Spawn Absolute Editions?
Well, see, you get them that way. I get the hardcovers, right? So
the white cover, right?
Mm-hmm. But that like stopped production. We got like Volume 10, and that's it.
And those Power Ranger books, I heard that they were supposed to be making some kind of bigger format instead of redoing the deluxe editions. I don't know if I heard you say that or somebody said it.
It was somebody at Boom mentioned that they were going to have a slipcase edition of volumes 1 and 2, but that's it. It's just a rumor.
Yeah. I'm kind of pissed I missed out on those Umbrella Academies. I never even heard of those, man. And
the slipcase editions.
Yeah,
those are old. Well, I mean, we're getting library editions real soon.
Are we? Because I got the trades, but I really enjoyed the show. I didn't read the trades yet, though.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the art is amazing. The art is what's amazing.
I heard the show was better, which is usually the other way around, right?
Yeah, the show, I mean, added a lot of elements that the comic book couldn't. I mean, it's based on two trades. That's all you had to work with.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cool, man. All right, what else we got going on? I'm just scrolling through the chat here.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me if the Iceman statue came in. It definitely has not come in yet, and I have not started playing Ultimate Alliance 3. I was never an Ultimate Alliance guy, even back in the day on PS2. I don't know. I just didn't like that kind of style of game.
You weren't a fan of that?
I wasn't.
I like the first two games. I like co-op games, but I'm old, so I like co-op games when my family and friends could sit next to me. And not through the internet, and I know that's not possible now these days. But
yeah, that's definitely. I definitely am a product of people that played with 4 people in the same room, eating chips and drinking Mountain Dew and shit like that.
You can't hit your brother or your friend in the back of the head for doing something stupid when he's playing online with you, right? You can curse at him, but it's just not as good.
You're being cheap, was what we should say.
You better, right. Yeah. I remember playing role-playing games with them. I'm like, man, you ain't healing me fast enough.
Matthew Manghi said, "Dear God, they cross streams."
I like Matthew. He's a good dude.
Okay, that's one of the Minties. So we got the Geminites and the Minties. I was very offended at first with the Minties term.
Wait a minute. let me see. My cousin started that. My wife actually started a long time ago, and she's trying to bring it back. And I'm like, oh, I think there's some kind of copyright infringement going on if we do that now.
But you got your wife now. I see her. She's more involved with the channel with you now, right?
So she used to do. She's a big nerd too. She used to do anime and manga reviews for a magazine and video game reviews, and then when I had a podcast, she would do that with me. And she had she had one baby, she had two babies, and then her career, and where she stepped away, she didn't think she would enjoy it, but then she just started asking me. She's like, hey, I read this, do you mind if I do a video review with you? I'm like, nah, let's do it. It's a lot of fun, right? We feed off each other. We've known each other longer than most people I know, so it's really cool. It works out real good. I saw your Berserk review with her. What a hell of a book to start. My wife loves Berserk, so
and my wife is more of a new reader. I mean, Berserk is one of the first things that she's ever read. I think the first thing she ever read was Promethea. Then she read The Boys or Berserk or something like that. But no, it's fun. It's fun to share it, and I know her more than I don't know her, just kind of like how you said, you know what I mean? So
yeah, absolutely. So my whole family, my little girl, she likes reading, and I was like, well, when you get 10 years old, if you want to do a video, you can be on the channel. And she did her first video, so that was really cute. That was a lot of fun. It's like a family thing, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm trying to get my daughters involved too. They're still not into it, but I'll get them there.
Yeah, it comes natural. My kid, I was so proud of her. I brought her down here. Like, I said, you can pick. You have the keys to the kingdom. Most you can't read any of the top shelf stuff. You're 10 years old. When you get older, you can. But like she picked Transformers IDW, so I was really proud of her.
Oh, I was trying to make your screen big. So how do you have your setup? Is that like a basement or what is going on there?
Yeah, I live in Kentucky, so we have tornadoes. So
Kentucky, okay. I didn't pick you for Kentucky.
I know. Nobody ever does. Good.
Was that racist or what?
No, it's just you're right though. No, really. When I remember when my first time on Omni Bros, I think Jess asked me where I was. He thought I was out west somewhere. I'm like, nah, dude, I'm in Kentucky.
So if somebody said one of this guy is in El Paso and the other guy's in Kentucky, who do you think they would say was there?
Pretty fucking sure they say my ass is from El Paso.
Oh man! All right, so I'm going through the chat. Let me know if you see anything in the chat too that catches your eye, man.
Oh yeah, of course.
All right, what do we got going on here? So we got 250 watching. Shout out to everybody that's come to check us out. Let us know if you guys have any questions for me or Omar or any kind of stuff that you want to see us do in the future on either one of our channels. I've been trying to experiment a lot lately because I feel like I did get kind of stagnant with like the same kind of shit is coming out every week. And I recently did a video for our giveaway, and I had a lot of good suggestions in there. And I've been trying some different things. Like I did like the character spotlight on that Rasputin 4. What did you think about her? You read Powers of 10.
Powers of X?
Yeah,
Powers of 10. Yeah, I'm game. It's funny because when I first saw the images of all those characters, the Mark Brooks image, I was in my head already playing okay, that's obviously magic, and somehow she got her brother's power, or it could be Colossus's daughter from the Savage Land, because we all know he banged that chick in the Savage Land from that annual and Uncanny X-Men. And then, Hickman came out and said, this is not which is really weird. Like he said, this is not an alternate reality. This is not a future story or time traveling.
It seemed like a future story to me.
Right. I did too. So I'm like, oh, what is he talking about?
He also said that he wasn't going to mention the word Omega Mutants, but in issue 1, he gave us
flat out.
Flat out described every aspect of it. And shout out to Justin Page with the $5 super chat. He's loving the conversation. What can Gem suggest to Omar for new omnibus that would sell well? Y'all are good together talking shop. Nah, I knew we would be. I mean, we're into the same shit, I mean.
Yeah. Well, not really. I'm not into the statues.
Right.
But my statues are little. My statues are also made of plastic.
But you like to collect non-articulated figures.
Yeah, I appreciate them. And I mean, if I had the money, hell yeah, I'd have the damn Berserk. What are they? Prime 1 statues. That was my problem. But see, that's my problem. I know I have a addicting personality.
Yeah,
like I'm a very addictive personality. So I get one And I know I'm like, well, shit, I got Guts. I got to get Femto when he comes. Like, we know we're going to get a Femto. We got to get Griffith. We're going to get Casca. Before I know it, I have the whole goddamn what's it called? The Hawk, the fucking, oh, damn it. The whole team, the Hawks over here.
And they have that,
I'm going to run out of room.
That Nosferatu Zod, like the wolf form, is a 1/3 scale statue. It's like a mountain.
One with the wings?
Oh. No, he doesn't have wings in it. I think he looks more just like a wolf kind of. I'm pretty sure it was Nosferatu Zod.
Oh, I know that there's one with his fucking amazing the berserker armor when he's taking full form. Oh my god.
Oh yeah. When he's more like a human form, right?
Yeah, well, and he's got his whole face is covered by that, like you said, the wolf thing. But man, it's just I would run out of room, and my basement's only so big, and we gotta look for a house, and that's one of the things. I'm like, well, I gotta get a bigger basement.
Shout out to first of all, shout out to Adam in the chat. 10,000 diamond eyes. Thank you. Yeah, a lot of people reached out about the El Paso stuff, man. That was crazy. A lot of people hit it up.
It is crazy.
Shout out to for real. Shout out to Magic the Krakening, $4.20 super chat. When GemMint flip flops for us FL crackers. I don't know what he means by that. I'm from South Florida. I was born in New Jersey, but I lived in South Florida for my whole life, and I moved over here a couple of years ago. So South Florida represent. Alex Moreno is asking Omar, like I'm a piece of shit. No, is IDW good at reprinting hardcovers? I noticed some of the TMNT volumes are out of stock, and the answer is yes, they are. Right?
Yeah, they keep that stuff on Evergreen. The only thing that I know that I'm looking for that they flat out said we are not reprinting is that Ghostbusters Volume 2, the Mass Hysteria.
I never jumped on the Ghost Riders, and I remember I was asking you about Transformers 2. How you said you think it's gonna go? It has to go up to like 12 volumes to complete that.
Yeah. So we got Volume 11 just got solicited.
Did it? Okay.
So we got one more, and actually Volume 11 says in the solicitation says and everything will be wrapped up in Volume 12. So we'll have 12.
Okay, dope. All right, because I didn't really want to start it and then have a big gap between the last couple of volumes.
I'm excited about that, and I hope they collect Phase 3 because that would be cool. That finishes out that, and that takes us all the way to Unicron where they restart the universe.
So let me ask you this then. I have the G.I. Joe IDW Deluxe Edition.
God.
What? They're not good.
No, it's not that. It's just that they stopped making them.
The gray ones or the other ones? So
they stopped making both. The classics, which is the reprint of the Marvel comics, right?
Right.
Beautiful. Even though the scans, all they did was upgrade the scans. That's it, but whatever. But they stopped at the IDW collection at Volume 7. Like, just stopped flat out. Didn't even give us a reason. Didn't even tweet about it. Nothing. They just flat out dropped the project.
I didn't sell good, I guess, right?
I guess. And the story, honestly, G.I. Joe is not as good as Ninja Turtles or Transformers. Right. But it did get better as the stories progressed. I guess the first few volumes didn't sell well.
Oh, somebody asked that question too right here, so we kind of asked it already. Perfect.
Yep.
Can you see it on the screen when I put it on the screen?
Yeah, I can. Mm-hmm. Cool. I just can't see the chat. I have to go back to the.
Thomas Judge said, "Wait, Colossus banged what chick in the Savage Land?"
Oh yeah, man! And you know what? That was a Chris Claremont story. It's in I think it's annual number 12 during the Evolutionary War. Yeah, go check that out.
That's funny, man.
It's one of those X-Men tropes that Claremont put in there.
I don't know if I'm saying this right. Kuramaya said, "I wonder if we all have an addictive personality." I think so. I think if you look at like the shells behind both of us and probably a lot of people in the chat, that's some addiction right there. So somebody asked, do you think they will reprint the Infinity Gauntlet Omnibus? And I don't know. I think like that box set kind of pushed that back if that was going to happen,
Mm-hmm. I think we will. I think by the time Infinity Watch, because let's not kid ourselves, they're gonna do an Infinity Watch omnibus. I think by the time that comes out, they'll release an Infinity Gauntlet.
See, reprint. if they do an Infinity, I don't know, would it be Infinity Watch or Infinity Crusade or whatever, right? But
I'm sorry, Infinity Crusade.
It would really kill that box set for me. I probably would sell the box set if that were to happen.
Yeah,
because I'd rather have the Omnis.
I like oversized artwork, so that's why I prefer the Omnis. Now the X-Men box set, X-Men's my jam, so I'll probably be picking that up.
But
they're not cheap. They're not cheap. They're not
Do you
cheap.
have the Silver Age omnibus though?
Yeah, volumes 1 and 2, but it doesn't have. See what they did with this, the X-Men box set is they literally put in every single appearance of the X-Men, because that's right, Smotlock's from Kentucky. That's my boy. So the there was a time when X-Men got canceled, right before Giant Size came in and saved the day. So X-Men got canceled for a few years, and then the X-Men were just a bunch of reprints. So the X-Men dispersed, Beast went on. By the time Beast came back, he was blue and furry. So you read Uncanny X-Men 1, you're like, well, what the hell happened to Beast? Well, with this box set, it's pretty cool that they put in the issues that all that stuff happened. The issues were like Wolverine first appearance of like Jamie Madrox and things like that will play a bigger role later on.
Okay, so they told a better story chronologically and what happened to them before Uncanny, or before Giant Size, I guess.
Child of the Atom, X-Men is my jam, but so is my family. So if I get a bunch of statues, they're gonna kick my ass out of the house.
So I got it. So Barbara Lopez and Tim, or Child of the Atom, they're both huge X-Men fans and statue collectors. So I know they loved it as soon as you said that you were an X-Men guy. They were like, they perked up, I'm sure. So
I love X-Men.
Benny Blanco saying, you ever think they'll do a Ghost Rider omnibus? I mean, they could start from the beginning. They could do the Danny Ketch 90s run.
Here's the thing. I think. So, I'm a child of, I was born in the 70s, but I grew up in the 80s. And a lot of those things have already been, are starting to see the light of day. What I'm starting to see more, though, is like a lot of the stuff in the 90s, like stuff like Heroes Reborn, things like that.
But that's like extreme 90s. I wouldn't put Ghost Rider in that category. That's kind of more like...
Well, Ghost Rider was like early 90s, but I think it's because, that generation is now starting to get out, get better jobs, have more income, and want to relive that childhood. So it's a good time for them to start reprinting some of those books from the 90s. I'm not saying go out and get like a Sleepwalker omnibus or a Darkhawk omnibus, but I wouldn't
so
be. I love a Darkhawk omnibus.
You could easily bump out a Sleepwalker omnibus, one volume, knock out the whole run. It's not a bad read. I read it in single issues.
Yeah, I did too. And Terror Incorporated and all that stuff, man. I'd be all over Darkhawk. Spider-Man 2099. I'm pretty sure we're gonna get a Spider-Man 2099 announcement sometime.
Yeah, I mean they did the trades. I mean that was kind of risky because they had to do like 6 volumes or something like that to complete that. I think what did they do? 5?
And they changed the name too. They changed the name to like Spider-Man versus Venom or something like that. They
pulled the DC move with that, but I mean at least it was still chronologically there and mapped out correctly. But the title, they try to clickbait the title to put Venom in there somehow.
Oh yeah, that's what I want to do with X-Force Volume 4 and call it Venom and X-Force. Reprint a Venom book in there. I don't care as long as I get my damn omnibus. But yeah, I think Danny Ketch omnibus, because you have a lot of talent on that, a lot of good art, a lot of you have Mark Texeria. Oh my God, he was on. Damn, I almost said on fire. That would have been a dumbass dad joke. But yeah, dude, his art was so good back then.
What about even like the Punisher, his first ongoing that went like 100 issues or whatever the hell it went?
Yeah, that was a solid run. It had and that had some good artwork. It had Will Spertasio and Jim Lee. Yeah, Punisher War Journal was good too.
Shout out to, I think this is your boy Smotlock, $2 says shout out to my boy Omar. Oh, Kentucky represent. That's what that was.
Yeah. Smotlock's a good dude. He is from Kentucky. We met at a con here in Central Kentucky.
Zion Cole asking about Irredeemable. I read Irredeemable on Jess's recommendation back when it was like in stock, no problem.
It's and
I guess it went OOP or whatever, OPP, and I ended up selling them. But
it's one of those boom books that
it's
up to them to reprint it. I have no idea why.
But don't you feel like Homelander from The Boys? I forget what his name was. Irredeemable.
Very similar.
The homeboy from Invincible, his dad. What's his dad's name again? I don't remember.
The Ultramites people?
Yeah. All very similar Superman, evil Superman takes, right?
Yeah, I mean, inspiring art, right? Brightburn, all those characters, yeah.
So Hoff's asking about value. So when it comes to collected editions, I think there was a time where they were going out of print and selling for big bucks. But with the amount of reprints on out of print books we're seeing, I think it's a terrible idea to invest in these as something to flip later. Would you agree or no?
I've always said that.
Even before, right?
I've always said that because there's a difference between buying a comic book, right? That's like $4 or $5, and then buying one of these, even at discount for $50. Yeah. You're talking about and then taking up all that room. Let's say you end up, I don't know, you were one of these people that ended up with like 10 copies of the Colossal Conan. How long are you going to wait, right? How long are you going to wait? They're going to stack up in your house.
But Colossal Conan was an exception. I think those books are always going to hold value because Dark Horse no longer has those rights, and they'll never reprint those same books.
Right, but we don't know what Marvel's going to end up doing it with. I mean, the damn epics could blow up, and they're like, oh, shit, we got to reprint some books. Now, I don't think they'll ever be the size of the Colossal Conan books because those things are huge.
That same book in its format will probably never be reprinted. Now, speaking of which, somebody asked me a good question last night. Like, DC does omnibus and absolutes, but Marvel doesn't really do anything that's like the equivalent to absolutes.
They tried with that, what was it, the Platinum editions?
They were bigger than absolutes, right? They kind of tried to one-up them.
$200 too.
And they were heavy as hell. I sold all of mine except for the Marvels from Alex Ross, and I meant to buy the new edition that you had and replace it with that because it's probably much thinner and more lightweight compared to that Platinum edition.
It is, yeah. It's Stan is huge.
And I have the Behold Galactus one, so I thought they would kind of go well together.
It's that big, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Jim Lee's getting one, right? He's getting the extra large.
Oh, I didn't know that. Was that insider info or was that common?
No, that's common. That's common. Commoners. No, that's it comes out, I think, I want to say October, first week of October. It's like, that's why a lot of people are like, oh man, that damn X-Men, Chris Claremont Volume 1 is not coming back into print because that XXL is coming out.
But that's going to be dope. What's
that's probably true.
Is it just 1 through 10 or something?
No, it's all over the place. It's like some of his earlier issues. I think it's got like Acts of Vengeance in there, and a couple of other books. My wife just gave me the 10-minute mark, and I said,
okay.
No, we're good. We're good. I said 10 more minutes, so we're good.
All right, shout out to my boy Jeff Luch in the house. Your boy, this got to be your guy. A Zim said he's going to gift you an Uncanny X-Men 136 near mint.
Thanks, man. That's kind. I love that issue. That's the Phoenix. It's just got the iconic cover, right? Like from that Perez also used in Crisis on Infinite Earths 8. Love that cover.
So, guys, look, if we might have to wrap this up soon, so let's, if you got any questions before we get up out of here. It's been like an hour and 15 minutes so far anyway.
This has been fun, man. We should do this again. We'll get Jess in here, get an old dude's inside info.
Yes, somebody was saying I should try to get the whole Omni Bros live crew up in here one day. I'm down.
Yeah, for sure, man. Shout out to Omni Bros. I love those guys.
Man, I watched Omni Bros live before. I feel like Gabe is the mastermind on consolidating the channel. When you used to have to figure out, is it going to be on Luis's channel? Is it going to be on Riley's channel? And it used to kind of back and forth.
And I think that was a smart move. So that was Gabe.
Yeah.
Gabe decided, well, let's just have a channel instead of bouncing back and forth between everybody's channels. So I think it was a good idea. Smotlock
saying, what's the biggest omnibus? I think Invisibles is up there with Blackest Night. And
Blackest Night is huge.
Ex Machina is up there. I think they're all kind of similar, like 1,500 to 1,600 pages are like the biggest ones.
I'm excited about the damn Starman omnibus is coming out. That's going to be big.
I have those 6 standard size hardcovers.
Yeah, those are, I love like Starman, top 3 favorite comic book of all time. So I'm excited. I'll be buying that again.
Bishop saying, what's your site for statue ordering? Well, my site is gemmint.store. But if you're asking in general, like sideshowtoy.com, you can buy the Sideshow statues, or Prime One has a prime1.com if you want to buy those 1/3 scale berserks that you need a whole living room for. I would love those
pretty much.
I kind of designed my room so it's more comfortable.
You got rid of a bunch of your statues, didn't you?
I got rid of all of them, and I bought a truck, and I was just kind of like, sometimes, I don't know, have you ever felt this way? Like, your collection gets so big, and you're like, if I have a house fire, I'm fucked. Like, let me cash out right now and then start over. And I kind of like to consolidate and build back up.
while I don't get statues, I do have some rare Japanese figures.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like somebody said, you know what, if there's a fire and stuff, and I'm like, oh, fuck it, I'm out. I can't. There are things I can't find ever again.
Yeah.
Like there's a specific figure from a specific show in the 90s from an anime that I waited 10 years and I check on eBay every week for 10 years and I finally found her right before I went and flew to Japan. I didn't even see her in Japan. So it's that kind of stuff that I'm like, nah, I can't find this. I can't make this again.
Al Capal's asking, what's the best 90s Spider-Man omnibus to get? My recommendation would be to get the Spider-Man vs. Venom omnibus. I don't know if you have a different one you'd want to throw out there.
The Amazing Spider-Man, the David Michelini, Todd McFarlane.
The McFarlane one?
Yeah.
See,
first one.
Spider-Man vs. Venom has stuff that I like out of that one anyway, but it also has Maximum Carnage, and it has the Ghost Rider Venom team up, and it has the some of the Eric Larson stuff as well. But Todd McFarlane Amazing Spider-Man is dope as well. I bought that. I remember when it was a whale, and I got it for cover at my local shop. And I had two. I bought two, and somebody else bought it from me, and I had one for me. And then that was one of the first reprints where they started reprinting out of print books, and I was like, damn, I could have waited and bought it for $50.
But I mean, we didn't know, right? We didn't know how long it was going to be.
We didn't know. Yeah, but now we have a better idea. I like that Marvel's, I don't know if it's the collected edition department or where Gabriel works, but him being in tune with you and you're in tune with all of us, that's the best thing that could have happened, because it kind of feels like they'll have a better hand on the pulse. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, like one of the things that David told me is like a lot of the times, because I flat out said, man, why is it that we have had new X-Men printed 3 different times, right? But Uncanny X-Force, Astonishing X-Men, these omnibuses have only had one printing.
Yeah.
And he flat out just said it's because we don't know. And because he's the head of the department, right? They don't have somebody that's in charge of the book. I guess when you're working from that side, you're working from the inside, right? You're like, you print a book, you sell it. Oh, cool, it's sold out. Hey, we did a good thing. It sold out. Cool. Let's keep going, keep moving things. You don't really know. I mean, the book publishers aren't like, hey, the stores aren't like, hey, there's more demand for this, because they don't know. So a lot of the time he said, like, he had somebody that used to work for him. He messaged like every quarter. He'd tell them, hey, these books are out of print. These are going on eBay pretty high. But that's when we started talking more and more. And then I shared with him my master list, because this is the kind of stuff that I keep on the side for me personally. And I'm like, man, I hope this helps you out. So it all worked out, man. I just like to see people get these stories that I enjoy so much for an affordable price. Like, I know flippers don't like my channel. Because I mean, really, it puts a damper on that game. Now, everybody, I mean, if you'll notice, ever since the reprints started happening, like about 2 or 3 months ago, when the announcements started coming out, like there's things on eBay you wouldn't see back like a year or 2 ago. Like I've seen Captain Britain on omnibuses on eBay more than I ever have, or like Silver Surfer. Right? They're like, next one's gonna be announced. Like, and a lot of people think I got it. Like, I know what's coming out next year. I mean, I know there's a few, and I know I have a list of the ones that he highlighted, and he's like, these are going to see a reprint. I'll let you know when you can say something, because they still have to get approved. But it's just, I don't have a master list. Like, I really don't know. I know there's another omnibus they're working on right now that I'm excited for. But I don't know what's being reprinted for sure. I know it, like, and every time, like, it doesn't matter. Like, I announce something or people find out, Uncanny X-Force is coming back. You got a lot of people happy, and then some people are like, "Oh, fuck that, man."
But the thing is, it's good for the hobby, because more people are buying omnibus now than ever, I'm sure. And the more people we get buying omnibus and reading, the better it's going to be for comics in general. So it's really a good thing. Flippers will find something else to flip. So I'm not feeling sorry for them.
Well, no, you're right. They will. It's but I'm just glad that people that are didn't get into the game like 10 years ago are now finally going to be able to get some of these stories. Now, some of these stories might be disappointing to them. They'd be like, man, Annihilation suck. Why is everybody hyping it up?
At least you didn't buy it for $300.
Exactly, right? You only paid 50 or 55, however much you buy it for the first week or wherever you're buying your books. So don't sweat it. It ain't that big of a deal.
So with that, let's wrap it up. We already been on for about an hour and 20 minutes. Thank you for coming on the show. I think we had a good convo. And
yeah, thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it. This is a lot of fun.
We'll have to try to keep keep in touch and maybe do it every so often. And if you want me to come on yours, I'd be down. Got to get the Omni Bros on here.
Yeah, for sure, man.
We'll do it again. To ask, Fee's not coming on tonight. I think we're gonna wrap it up. But me and Fee are gonna go live tomorrow, and we're gonna do a live about House of X, Powers of 10, as well. And we're gonna keep doing more stuff and experiment with new type of videos. So make sure to to watch for that. But thanks for everybody who watched. Again, thanks Omar for coming on, and you guys stay minty fresh.
Y'all have a good night. Thanks again.
Right. Peace.
That was fun, dude.